All right, I want to welcome everybody tonight to our May Education Night. It is May the 28th, 2026. And I was hoping we got one of our old members who didn't rejoin early in the year, Christy McAdams. She's back. She rejoined yesterday, but I gave her a link, so I don't know if she's going to show up or not. We'll see.
We talked her up.
Hmm?
We talked her up.
Yeah, we were talking about her the other day, and it was like boom, all of a sudden she paid her dues. So anyway, all right. I
By
got a
the
few.
way, Lynn, I wanted to say hello from Diane Asher, that used to be in the club.
Did you talk to her?
She wanted me to tell everybody hello. I heard my name being called in Sam's the other day. She happened to be in town, so she wanted me to tell everybody hello.
Okay. First thing, you may have noticed Jim is not here. He was supposed to be our speaker.
Hey, Robert, this is from on the Zoom meeting.
What?
We can hear you, Fung.
I just muted her.
They man asked me.
Maybe she can't hear us.
I said birdseed.
Oh,
Who else is on the phone? If you're talking to somebody else, please mute yourself, guys. Okay, as you may have noticed, Jim is not here tonight. He had an unexpected job come up that made him have to go out of town tonight. He's actually working now.
Huh?
So we have done a pivot.
I don't need to send it now.
We have done a pivot, and I was gonna spend a few minutes with y'all anyway, but Robert's also going to do something. So I'm going to start off, and then we'll.
Now get but very smaller sound, so how I can.
Paul, you can't talk while I'm talking, please. You got to be muted. Okay,
Fawn can't hear us at all.
well, she
she can still mute her.
Yeah, she can
machine.
mute
I cannot get your voice sound, so I can do. Now get a little bit.
Are you talking to Robert? Anyway, so what Jim is going to do, because he was going to talk about the 3 assignments that are coming up, which are breaking a pattern, or the other 2, breaking a pattern, and in negative space. He's going to actually had everything all ready to go. So, but he didn't, this thing came up at the last minute, so he didn't have time to record it. So what he's going to do is he's going to go ahead and do a presentation on his own. And once he gets home and record it, and then he will send me the record. He either put the recording out to everybody or send it to me, and I will send it to y'all. So you won't miss out on what we were going to talk about this week. Let's move on to the announcements, and then we'll go into our education night stuff. The assignments coming up are in June is abstract. July is cityscapes. Excuse me. In August is breaking a pattern. If you have any, look at those descriptions on the website so you understand what they're going to be looking for. Education night's coming up. Next month is going to be Ray Hennessy. He's going to be talking about wildlife and wide angle landscapes. Very interesting guy has a different point of view of things, and I think you're going to enjoy it. In July, we'll have Karen Waller zooming in from Australia. She'll be in the future on Friday morning, but she'll be coming in at our time. And she's going to be talking about ICM in the studio, which is a little different than what you're used to seeing. Lots of big movements and stuff like that with your camera. This is very small movement. So she has some really interesting stuff that she does. And then in August, we will not have a Zoom education night. We have our annual Pier and Beer over at St. Pete Pier, just so you know what's going on. The outings coming up, our next one is going to be in Dunedin. It will be on June the 27th, which is a Saturday at 6:30 p.m. And I will be sending out details about that shortly via email. Anybody that shot images on our one-day Tampa Bay Camera Club, which was May the 16th, needs to send me 5 to 10 images. A few of you have already, but I haven't gotten a lot of them. 5 to 10 images that you took that day, showing us where you were on May the 16th. Be sure to change the file name to the location so I know where the picture was taken. You don't need to title it, just put a place name. And send them to me by 6:15 at 7 p.m. so I can put a slideshow together for the next meeting. Any questions about that, guys? Okay. See if there's anything else I need to do. Okay, I think that's it. Robert, do you have any comments?
I wanted to comment on something Mark said last week about titling. If I can go down that road for a second.
Go ahead.
Yes. I want to know what Ansel Adams, one of Ansel Adams' most famous photographs name that has to do with a moon.
A moon.
Frank. It's Frank, not Mark. Frank. Yeah, Frank. It's Frank. I want to know what Ansel Adams, one of Ansel Adams' most famous photographs that deals with the moon. I want to know what the name of it is.
Moon over Hernandez.
I'm sorry. Did I hear somebody say something?
Moon over Hernandez.
And how do you know that?
Because a friend of mine in Seattle had a signed one in her house from him.
And was it called Untitled?
What do you mean?
No. Frank, I've been, you had me thinking about that last week. You said things shouldn't be titled. And then I thought about I went back and started looking at all of the photographs that I've ever recognized that have become very famous, and they all had names on them. And so I'm not challenging you. I'm just simply making an argument that sometimes names are important.
Actually, the name of it, guys, was Moonrise Hernandez, New Mexico.
Because sometimes when we walk into a museum, we want to know what we're looking to that's describing what's in front of us. And oftentimes, even the greatest of abstract artists, they name or titled their images. So,
well, for PPA competitions, the images are named. And part of the reason for that is to give the judge a hint as to what the image is about. If you've got more than one layer of meaning, Liz, I sent you that one photo of mine with 5 layers of meaning. Yeah. If I don't have a title on that, that doesn't give you a place to start.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reason you need a title.
Yeah.
Now I want to just make it clear, Frank, that I am not challenging you. You just simply made me go and do more research, which is good.
I absolutely agree that in order to identify a photo when you're not looking at it, it needs a title, it needs a name. No question whatsoever. You can't talk about something unless we're that way. We're humans. We can't talk about something unless it has a name. So I don't have an issue with naming photographs. My concern was about the matching a name to a photograph and how critical that is. I think it can be critical for some people, for other people, it doesn't matter.
And I found that getting a creative title locally here is very often beneficial when it comes to rating. And if you come up with a really good, appropriate title.
Well, the word appropriate is where I have the issue usually. Yeah.
I'm so glad you're able to clarify my understanding of what you meant. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, yeah, you can't. We're human beings. We can't talk about things unless we have names on them. So
people talk about me all the time, and they don't call me by my right name. They call me A something hole, but something.
Still name. Still name.
Robert, sometimes they give you a military title and they call you captain.
Yeah, of course.
Or major,
you had me doing research like crazy, man. And I don't like to have to do research because I just learned how to read just recently.
No, you're familiar with Eggleston, I'm sure, right?
Eggleston.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at his pictures and then you say, what would he call that? And then he called everything, he had a name for everything because he was required to have one.
But on these famous pictures, was it the artist that gave it the name, or is it just that it became famous and then people gave it a name to identify
Some
it?
museum or gallery gave it a name.
Yeah, somebody, not the artist didn't give it the name. Somebody observing it said, "Oh, I think it's this." So
Yeah.
they came up with a name whenever they were describing it. Like Frank says, we're human. We have to have a name for something when we're talking about it and stuff. So was it the artist that gave it the name, or was it just somebody looking at it and saying, "Oh, well, this is what I call
Well,
it."
you're saying like, did Da Vinci actually, was it Da Vinci that painted the Mona Lisa? Did he
Yeah.
name it Mona Lisa, or did somebody else name it Mona Lisa? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, majority of, if you go to art galleries these days, they almost all have titles.
I want to be a fly on the wall when some of these abstract painters like Jackson Pollock sit there and name a painting of a bunch of stuff thrown on the wall. I mean, seriously. And the reason I bring that up is because our next assignment is abstract. So have a ball with those names,
I can't wait.
Yeah, we're looking forward to what Jim McWilliams comes up with.
Well,
yeah, Jim McWilliams, we're all going to.
Yeah, the back of my head is open right now. That's why it looks like that.
And I do appreciate Bob's contribution to that, talking about naming. So it makes sense if you have something that complex and the artist wants to guide you.
I was told that one of my images in PPA got the score it did because I named it. It was a photo of a 18th century Santa Claus at a Christmas tree lighting ceremony, and he's looking at a laser light show, and there's cross lighting in his little granny glasses. And they said because the title said an 18th century Santa Claus looking at a 21st century laser light show, they knew what it was about. That got best in class, best in show, and one of the 10 best photos of the year because of the title.
Yeah.
And a good title make all the difference in the world.
Well, there have been times when, and I know tonight's we're supposed to have it, but we don't have any assigned discussion based on Jim, and Lynn and I are presenting something. But I did want to bring up this discussion in the beginning so that we can have something to start on. And and I wanted to say sometimes in here the idea that I judge based on name sometimes is like I got nailed. I got points taken away because of my naming is not the case. I just want you to know that naming helps me to identify where your mind is. The images are always judged based on its merit, meaning impact, technical ability, and the adherence to the assignment. But when Frank brought this up about he thought that things were not they shouldn't be named, I misunderstood what he meant, right? And I wanted to make sure that we clear that up.
Don't you think, though, the name can help with the impact?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it can. Jim McWilliams and another guy we had in the club a long time ago, who brought it, who was very similar to Jim McWilliams, who brought in the squirrel on the plate.
That was Jim.
Was that
was Jim.
That was not this Jim. Jim did not bring in the squirrel on the plate with the ketchup.
Jim, that wasn't you on the triptych?
No.
I think it was Mark.
No, it was not. It was. We had another Jim in the club.
Jim, okay, no Jim, okay.
Yeah, another Jim in the club, and he brought in the squirrel with the ketchup on the plate. And he titled it something that when you heard the title, everybody chuckled and laughed about it because it was appropriately titled.
What was the topic?
Roadkill.
What was the assignment?
It was about roadkill.
Roadkill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But wasn't that on the triptych when we did the triptych?
I can't remember, but I do remember.
I think he took it of the road, and then he had it, prepped, on a plate type thing for a meal.
but it was appropriately titled.
Yeah.
And Robert, I went back after we talked about what impact is. I went back to the PPA rules that we use for judging. And the first criteria is impact. And they say that impact is what the image makes you feel, that it makes you feel something. And I would add something else to that. If you're scrolling through a bunch of images, you're going to stop at an image with impact. That's another way to know it's not. Otherwise, you just keep flipping through.
All right, guys. Is that enough? Has everything you have, Robert?
Yeah,
now?
that was where I wanted to start.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to start with a little bit of Photoshop.
Lynn.
Yes.
Lynn, before you do that, can I talk about the airport and the website?
Let's talk about that at the board meeting.
At the board meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a board meeting thing, not this.
Hey,
Okay.
can I ask a question about the assignment, about the abstract?
Yeah.
So do you, like, if I'm using, say, an object and I play around, I mean, I shot a photo of something and I didn't do ICM, but then I take it into Photoshop and I create an abstract from it. Do you have to show the original?
No.
Starting
No,
project?
the whole point of an abstract is you don't really know what it is.
Does it have to kind of resemble the thing?
No. Doesn't have to resemble anything.
Good. Okay.
It just needs to make.
I've had fun with this assignment.
It's got to be an interesting. You talk about the splashes of paint on the wall. Those are only good if they're interesting to people.
Right.
So,
okay.
So yeah, it's it needs to be it needs to look like it. There's a balance. It's got to be something that's going to have impact. Abstracts that's one of the things about abstracts. They usually have a lot of impact.
Okay.
All right. Anything else before we get started?
Yep.
Can you see my Lightroom?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What I'm going to show you is if you have not updated Photoshop to the latest version in your subscription, I recommend that you do this, because what I'm going to show you next is only in the latest version of Photoshop. Okay. And what I want to show you here is.
Where was this, Lynn?
What?
Where was it?
Photoshop. Oh, this was in Pennsylvania. All right. I want to show you these two images. Why is it not doing this? There we go. Oh. Well, this one here. Oops. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. What am I doing?
Go to the library.
Oh, that's why. Duh. All right. Here are two images.
Wow.
Get rid of all this stuff. Okay.
Holy banana brains.
All right. Here's two images. This is a street in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And in here, let me show the, whoops, I don't want to do that. Let's just do this one for now. Take that off. All right, here's the original image. It has been processed a little bit in Lightroom. But you notice it is really an interesting street, except what's wrong with it?
Cars.
There's a lot of stuff, okay? And yes, you could, go into Photoshop and remove this and remove, you could, right in the last year, you could remove wires without too much trouble. And in this particular instance, the pole would probably not be too bad because of where it's located. But everything else that's in here, like the cars and all this, the power, the electrical meters and a lot of other stuff that's on the street would get in the way, and you would have a hard time getting rid of this. And showing you the end result of what I did. I could have gotten rid of all these electrical meters, but I thought, well, it's part of the deal there, so I didn't. But what I want to show you is how I did this. It took about 30 seconds.
You're kidding.
No.
Holy banana brains.
So I'm going to take this one. Whoops. Take this one into Photoshop. Get rid of that. This over here. Okay, here's our picture. Now, there's a new thing. You guys have used the remove tool, which is this little Band-Aid. And if you go out here, there's, the spot healing tool, the healing brush tool, the patch tool, all these little content aware move tool. Well, you want the remove tool that says, it's got the Band-Aid and a little plus and a minus, okay? And so make sure you've got that clicked on. Okay, so once you do that, once you go up here to the top, in the past, up until a week or so ago, there was only two choices here: find people and remove wires and cables. Well, this new thing they've added is general distractions, which means a lot of different things. Okay, and so this is the perfect picture for something like that. So I'm going to say find. And it's going to take a couple of seconds.
Helby just did something on this on his update.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, they're pretty good at getting stuff out there.
Yeah.
When something this big changes everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so what it's going to do is it's looking at all the stuff that's in this picture, and it's going to start doing selections. It's not going to remove them, it's selecting them. So you see here, I wish I could move this over, but I can't. You can't move this thing, unfortunately. It's listed out all the things that is selected in this deal, in this picture. So in each one of them has a color. So if you turn
And
these
then you
off
can move your picture over.
Yeah, how do you move it?
Take your hand. Take the hand tool.
Through.
Press the space button. And
Cancel. Not moving it.
No, just slide at the bottom just to move the picture over.
Oh, that's true. Duh. All right.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Now I'm not on my move tool anymore. Okay. All right. So I lost all my distraction. That's the only thing. It's very sensitive. This is just out of beta. So it's not 100% perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Probably in 6 months, it'll be a lot better. But they just did an update a couple of days ago. They released it about 10 days ago, and they did an update a couple of days ago, and it's better than it was before. So
Does it use credits?
no credits.
Okay. Would you not make a new layer before you started doing
Yeah,
it?
you should make another layer, but I'm just trying to be quick here. Okay. So if you see this list here, in each one of these little colors that is next to the list equates to what it's picked over here. So say, for example, I do the, no, I don't want to do that. Cancel. If I unclick it, it takes the purple off the vegetation right here. Okay.
All right.
If I unclick vehicles, it takes the selection off the vehicles. So there might be some things here that I don't really want to leave. I want to leave the what they're calling barriers, which is the hand railings. Those are fine. The drain elements, which are these, the drain things. I mean, the buildings are supposed to have drain elements. So, I mean, parts of the buildings I want to keep. And let's see, the fixtures, we want the fixtures to stay. Ground features, I'm not sure. It's like one little tiny thing right there on the road. Identified objects. Okay, so this is the one where, yeah, for some reason it's double picked this as a barrier and as identified objects. So if there's something you like, if I let this go and process it, it would get rid of this railing and all these other things that are blue. But I want to keep the railing. So I'm going to go up here to the minus, and this is where they refined it a little bit. And I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take that
Reset.
blue
Really
out.
cool.
All right. Now we got our list back. So I could remove the parts that I want to keep from the selection. Okay. So we've got pulls. I don't want to lose the flag. So let me undo that.
It didn't select the wires though on the right.
Yeah, I know. We have because it's got the separate wire thing.
Yeah, okay.
It does that separately.
Okay.
So
I
then,
think
I
it's
mean, I
awesome.
think I want to leave some of this stuff here on the street in front of the store, but I want to get rid of, I want to keep some, but I want to get rid of some. And, you know, let's keep the fire hydrant, and I'm going to let it get rid of, did it select all of the electrical meters? It just selected the ones that were, you know, obvious here in the front. Let's see, what else did it do here? It selected, I mean, that sign can go.
If you wanted to get rid of the other meters, could you add them to the yellow?
Yeah, you could do the same thing. You would just click the plus up here at the top, and it's a little harder to do because it's not very refined, because
Okay.
you know, you can actually go over them a little bit and get rid of those other meters. But
Yeah.
okay, so once you've decided what you want to keep and what you don't want to keep, you click on the check mark out here and stand back and get out of the way. Probably I should have, you know, undone I'm not sure what I was going to do the curb. The curb is fine. But the issue is it makes some choices. Then you can say yes or no to the choices. That's
That's
less than
amazing.
30 seconds.
That's amazing.
Now it put another car down here in the street, and it kind of this wall isn't bad. The one I did originally, it put the wall out in the middle of the road, which wasn't cool. So
I run into
you have
walls
to
like
sometimes
that.
go back in there and make some adjustments. Let's zoom in. Whoops, zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, and you can see that. Oops, come on, Lynn. Yeah, we got rid of a lot of stuff that was here. We got rid of the, you know, electrical meters, a few of them. We left a little bit of the stuff from the store. We got rid of all the cars. We got rid of the telephone pole. But now we need to go back and go in here and do the remove tool one more time and do wires. And my experience is it does a pretty good job. It's going to leave the poles because it doesn't think you know, this thing is a wires. It's it's a piece of the pole. So we just get rid of all that. Oops.
That is amazing because that is such a hassle, man.
So, I mean, that's a pretty, you know, a good example of what this thing can do pretty quickly. And in terms of what we're doing for our exhibition comment nights, we're okay with you removing stuff that's a distraction. And you can, you know, if you eliminate, I mean, I eliminated maybe less than 25%. If it's under 25%, you're not into AI, big time AI or AR, altered reality, you know, situation. But, you know, if we're going to talk about this more next time when Jim is here about where we're headed in this club. And this is one of the things that, you know, we can use this as a tool. And now I want to go to one other picture that I have in, let's see, cancel out of this one. Any
That
Lynn,
almost
you're
looks
saying
like
for what, Lynn,
Any
for what you
questions
did for
on
this,
this?
yes, for what you did for this photograph, would this be just you took some stuff out, or would this be altered reality?
No, I mean, we basically took stuff out. I took out distractions.
Okay.
I mean, Robert, what is your opinion on that? We can't hear you,
So I know
Robert.
a lot of people have problems like what, and I'm one of those. You know, like what's too much and what is not enough.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would say, and we may change this going forward because AI is becoming so prevalent. But
Yeah.
you know, 25, as long as less than 25% of it has been removed, we don't want you adding. Now, I mean, I technically should take that car out because it was added. I don't want to add anything, you know, and it's making a mess of it, but I'm not doing a very good job of selecting.
Right.
But, you know, we don't want you to like, this is, you know, create this and then add a horse or something like that. You know, that's not what we want to do, at least at this point in time. Well, we're okay with you eliminating distractions, okay? That helps the picture. And you have to say to me, yes, this picture is much better than the original, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's okay. Here's one example, and obviously this is we were on in this town. They had orange, no parking signs everywhere. I think this was one of the only streets that didn't have any, and so every picture I had to go and do this with it, get rid of the orange signs and orange cones, and all over the place were cones and things. So it comes in handy when you have a situation like that. It also, I mean, if you've got cars, it's sometimes it's hard to take a picture of a town or a city without
Yeah.
cars being in the picture.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we found a few streets at Jim Thorpe that the cars were only on one side, and it was awesome because we didn't have to deal with cars on the right side of the street. And so it was easy to take pictures of the buildings there. But in this case, I liked the curve, and going the other way, coming from back here, it wasn't as cool as it was coming from this direction. But I had all those cars in the way, so I had to take out the cars. Huh?
Almost looks like a European street.
Yeah, I mean, these older towns in Pennsylvania are very European looking. All right, one more.
Just one more.
Just one more, and then we're going to talk about something else.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh, yeah, we're going to go into...
Lynn, may I make a request?
Yes.
Could you please slow down?
Okay. It's hard for me to slow down.
Yes.
Okay. This is a project that this was a shot I took. We some of us got together and we were doing we were channeling Mary Jo Hoffman, and I was channeling a little bit of Alan Shapiro with his dark background. But as you could see, there's a lot of dust and even, printing on this black background. But I was able to do this with a little work in Photoshop. Now, this is not the kind of dust that Lightroom will get rid of. The dust that Lightroom will get rid of is in your sensor dust. It's got to be visible that way. It won't get, I mean, it may pick out a few of these, but it's not going to get all of them. Unfortunately, Photoshop won't get all of them, but it gets most of them. So let's take this into Photoshop.
I'm curious how you did it, because I want to know if you did it the same way I did.
No, I did it not the same way you did it.
Well, how do you know how I did it?
Because you said you darkened the black background.
No, I just changed the background.
Okay. All right. So here it is in Photoshop. Here I am in the remove tool again, and I'm going to find the distractions. And as I mentioned, this is just out of beta. So it picked up a good bit of it. It didn't pick up a lot of the little tiny itty bitty ones, and it missed this, but it still saved you a lot of time picking up more of these than you would have. And so once you pick out a few of the other ones, and then you get rid of this. So working with black backgrounds always a problem with dust. No matter what you do, you're going to have spots.
Well, working with white ones, you have the spots. You just don't see them.
Yeah, white spots too. Yeah, white on white spots.
I just want to be equal opportunity here.
Yes.
Will this
it's a little, believe it or not, this is harder for it to do than that street scene. For some weird reason, it takes longer.
Will this feature do this with a black and white image?
As far as
Great
I know.
question.
Yeah.
The reason I ask that is when I scan a 4x5 negative with Silverfast on my scanner, the program comes with the ability to eliminate dust on color, which think about 4x5, that's 35 or 40 minutes of dust removal.
Yeah.
But for another $80, you get another addition to that. I probably have 1 or 2 specks of dust every 4 or 5 4x5 images. That's the best $80 I have ever spent. Yeah. I mean, think about 30 minutes on every photo cleaning up. So hopefully this will do that here.
Yeah, I haven't tried it with black and white, but I would say it probably will.
What program was it, Bob?
That's Silverfast. It comes with Epson scanners. The Epson I use for a large format film it'll, like I say, it eliminates it. I mean, you come up with no dust on your scan, and I'm really careful. I hang mine in a shower where the door has been closed for at least 20, 30 minutes, turn the heat off.
What do you hang in your shower? I'm sorry.
Pardon?
What do you hang in your shower?
My sheets, my film, developed film, and that way
Oh.
it's in a room where an area where there's been no air movement.
Okay. Okay.
And then I turn the air conditioner and heating off for 2 hours. Then it's brushed off. Then it's brushed before it goes on the scanner. But the scanner, oh my God, that is the best $80 I have spent in photography in years.
Yeah, I would give it a try in here and see if it does it. I mean, like I said, it's not 100%. Yeah.
So-
but it beats the heck out of going click, 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 click a million times. So I'm just doing a quick, I just lowered the black, made the blacks blacker basically on this, but it's just a quickie thing. But what I wanted to show you was how to get rid of the spots.
So when I did it, Lynn, I just said remove background, put black background.
Yeah, you can do this. Just remove the background.
And then and then generate a black background.
So yeah, there's a lot of ways to do a lot of things in.
Well, let me point out something about what was just said about remove background and
Here we
replace
go
background
again.
and replace background. As you note, those backgrounds did have highlights and shadow points that creates depth.
Right.
When you put in a flat item, you lose shadows.
Right.
When
But
you
can
do
put
so.
them in.
So
shadows
are the part that gives you the depth that tells you that you're not floating.
If you convert that to a white background, take out only clone out only, or with a brush, clone out all the dark spots, and then go back to and then add the background in. Is it possible then to add the background in without the dust or dust spots that were originally there?
I don't know the answer. Robert?
Look, you just taught me something today, so I have no answer to what you're saying.
I don't think like I said, when she went to white background, I could see that now you can really see those, and you're not looking at the highlights of the highlights and shadows here.
Right, yeah.
If you just took your brush and wiped all of those out, and then went back to and then reopened it with the other background, I wonder if they're gone.
I don't know.
Are you talking about if I put it? Okay, I'll tell you what. Get a new go down. No, cancel. I want you to go down to your yin yang and then put in a solid color. So in other words, double click on that's the layer, and then you want to go down and click on solid your yin yang.
Yin yang. One
to
more.
The right.
To the right.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
All right, we go to solid color.
Solid color.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, pick black. You got black picked. That's okay. Great. All right, now take that. Rearrange the layer order.
Yeah.
All right, there's your black. That's what I was saying. You lose your depth.
Right, but couldn't you add shadows?
Well, you have no shadows to add because you have to then now bring up light because you can't add shadows on top of black on black.
Could you make a selection around them so that they include the shadows, and then work the rest of the image?
Well, that's when now you're getting back to being complicated about selecting the image and the shadows.
Right.
Yeah.
Note to self: don't work on a black background.
Yeah, don't work on black backgrounds with lots of spots.
The solution is to get your sensor cleaned.
Yeah. Well, this wasn't the
But
sensor.
this wasn't sensor.
Black background was dirty. No matter, we brushed these off and brushed them off, and it still had spots.
And you couldn't see it either.
Oh, that's on the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
you couldn't see it on the background.
Yeah, I carry a piece of black velvet, and doggone it, it manages to be a lit vacuum, and there's always little spots on it, although it is pure black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to use a mirror one time to do like some mirror imaging stuff, and as hard as I tried to get the mirror cleaned, it always collected more dust.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on from the Photoshop. This is something we talked about briefly last month, and we talked about this at Photo Camp. And because we have the time tonight, Robert asked me to go ahead and do a brief overview of AI. And I know some of you guys are not big on AI, but you need to understand what it is so that you can pass judgment fairly. And it's not like I am that. I mean, I've been messing with AI since 2022. And I don't know everything about it. It's changing on a daily basis. So this is a very shallow, over the top kind of view, just so you kind of get an idea of what it is. How AI works is the bots that each of these applications or programs or websites or whatever the company's putting this together does. They have bots or their machine learning that goes out into the web, the internet, the web out there, all this stuff that's on the web that it can have access to. Not everything is accessible, but a lot is. And it pulls information from there and it saves it. So it's learning constantly. And it doesn't go out and just go out, I don't think, randomly. Initially they do some learning, but as people use it and ask it to do things, it goes out and searches and brings stuff back. If you give them information about yourself, which I hope you don't give any private information to an AI bot, although sometimes it's impossible the way things are going these days. It collects that information about you. Some of the stuff I do, I've asked it to do things in regard to photography. And so further on down the line, when I ask it to do something else, not even on the same thread, it knows I'm a photographer. So it takes that into consideration and adds that into the conversation. So these guys, these bots are taking in information from a lot of places. Now, there's certain places they can't go. Adobe is like a block. It's got a wall. The bots cannot access your Adobe anything, like your Lightroom catalogs. If you sync them online and they're in Adobe's, they're on their server, they can't access that. Firefly, which is Adobe's image generator, is probably the only one right now that I am aware of that you have no issues with copyright.
Freaking expensive.
Yeah. So
Well, what does that mean? You have no issues with copyright? Further define what you're saying.
Technically, what you're seeing in here in front of you is from Midjourney. Okay, these are all things that people have created. This is the Explore section of Midjourney.
What is the program, Lynn?
Huh?
Spell the Midjourney.
MID Journey.
It's right on the screen, Diana.
Right here in the corner.
Sorry. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Okay, so this has been, these pictures have been produced by people. It is open, so I can click on one of these, and I can click on one of these, and I can actually copy the prompt, which is what they use to create the picture. I can actually copy all the parameters that are right here and make another picture. And so technically I'm using their, but if you're involved with Midjourney, you know that your stuff is available to everybody. Okay.
It's like open source then, right?
Right. It's open source. The technicality here is, even if I use their information, the picture is not going to be the same, because every time it goes out there, it's pulling different information. So it's not pulling the same thing. It may be similar because you're using all these same parameters, but it's also pulling from a different place every time. So it's going to give you something a little different every time. So what I wanted to do here is here's some stuff I created yesterday. Midjourney actually does, well, let's back up a second here. Before I get into this, there's a couple of good things about, there is some good stuff about AI. It can gather a lot of information in a short amount of time, and it puts it together in a relatively coherent manner. They're still working on these things. Unfortunately, they're getting smarter. And so they're getting better. They're not 100% all the time. Their grammar's not always the best. They don't always do exactly what you ask them, but they're getting better. When I first started this 4 years ago, the pictures were a disaster. Animals had 5 legs. They had their, people's faces were obscured. Hands had 4 fingers or 6 fingers, or there was no hands at all. It was a mess. That is not the case anymore. I would say 99% of the time, it's really hard to tell that it was, I should say, 99% of the time, the pictures are pretty darn good. Occasionally you'll see an error. And that's good, but it's also bad because it makes it hard to tell what is AI and what isn't now. So that's the issue. I mean, these particular images you're seeing right here in front of you are very illustrative, so they're easy to tell that they're AI. But let me back up a step here. Okay. No. Okay. I want to just quickly go over some of the things that you may or may not know that they're actually AI in our everyday life. If you use Siri on your phone, that's AI. If you have Alexa or Alexa Plus in your home or on your phone, that's AI. A Google Assistant is AI. Every time you go in for a Google search now, AI is giving you the answer. It may give you also some advertisements and stuff, but the first thing you get when you go in on a Google search now, almost 90% of the time, is an AI. Your Google Assistant is giving you a synopsis or a description that is AI generated. The next thing is, and these are speech oriented. And if you have Alexa Plus, and she might answer me because I said her name, they will talk to you, and you can have a complete conversation with these AI things in your house. Alexa Plus is really good at it, and it's scary at times.
What does it do?
It answers you like it's a person.
And you want that?
Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I mean, some people get kind of addicted to it. They treat them like they're a person. So yeah, so it's I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, to have a conversation with one of them. If you haven't done it, it's kind of cool. All right, moving on to the image related things like Midjourney. There's a slew of these out there. There's tons of them. Some of them are Midjourney is probably one of the older ones, so it's actually pretty good because they've been working on this for a long time. But Midjourney is one of the few that's not an actual app. It's a website. They started off in a wholly different direction. They were using a social media site that was made for gamers, and they had it over. You had to go through that to get into it. Well, about a year ago, they set up this website, so now you can actually do it on the website, and it's a lot easier. The other one that's been around for a while, which is owned by OpenAI, which is ChatGPT company, is DALL-E, D-A-L-L-E, capital E. And then more recently, Gemini Pro, which is part of Google, is also these, and Adobe Firefly. Adobe has one as well. Adobe's claim to fame, which is Adobe has always been a claim for this, is they're a font company. They initially, one of their biggest things when they first started was fonts, which is, script, the letters. They were the earliest ones to have decent fonts and in AI and words that would actually be the right words. You would tell it to, put a word in Midjourney. It still has problem with fonts. ChatGPT is pretty good with it, and Adobe's is probably the best though. And they will get 90% of the time they get the words right. So if you tell it to put a word in there in your picture, those guys are going to get it right. A lot of the other ones aren't there yet. So these are the image. These are the Midjourney, DALL-E, Gemini Pro, and Adobe Firefly are some of the major top of the line image generators, and they do not only images, but as you can see here, they can do video as well. So what I have to do is I create a still image, one down here like this one, and I tell it I want it to low motion. And it, unfortunately, probably with the zoom on, it's going to take forever to do this if it does it at all. Yeah, it's working on it. Yeah, there it is right there. And these, creating videos cost you more time because you pay for X amount of hours per year per month if you're, a subscriber. And it's actually doing pretty fast considering it's got Zoom going on. But an image comes up a lot quicker than a video does. I just wanted to show you how quickly you can actually create a video. And the videos are still kind of imagery, especially the videos are kind of not great. The cars will be going in their be running into each other, not running into each other, but they kind of, the video kind of goes across in the wrong direction. But this is, less than 60 seconds and I've got a video. That's how easy it is. All right. All right, so let's go to ChatGPT. And you've heard me talk about ChatGPT. ChatGPT and Claude, which is its competitor, her main competitor, are both initially they were word generators. You could put in, I want a poem, I want an outline, I want to do this, and this is the ChatGPT is the one that the schools are worried about. They want to use it, but they are worried about it because you can pretty much get it to do anything. When we were planning the trip to Pennsylvania, I actually put in there, we're doing a trip to Pennsylvania in April or whatever it was. It's senior photographers, and this is where we're going to be staying. Give me places to go. And it gave me a list. It gave me, the really cool thing is it gave me, this is an easy hike. This is not an easy hike. This is better in the morning. This is better in the afternoon. And then at the bottom, it gives me a list of the photography equipment I should take. Awesome. And in some cases, ChatGPT actually gives you footnotes as to where they got the information from. I would say check all that stuff, though. It doesn't always have the most current information. I found a couple places when we were in Pennsylvania that were actually not open at that time. And then
I did that.
So you've got to check. It's a great base tool to give you an idea. If you go into an area that you've never been to before, it's a great way to get an idea of what's in that area that's interesting to photograph. And then you got to do some checking to make sure that it's all, viable options. But I only had we were there a week. So out of probably 30 places, I had 2 that were an issue. And one of them was,
I just planned a 12-day trip to Vermont and New Hampshire using ChatGPT.
Mhm.
And you're right, some of the restaurants aren't open anymore and stuff, but
you
for
got
the
to check.
most part, it was
But
excellent.
here's one of the things that I wanted to try to do. I got some pictures. You could do this. You could, and oh, by the way, ChatGPT has a free version. You can only do so many chats per day. And I have because I was doing this trip, I needed more access than that. So I ended up buying a subscription, but I used it quite a bit. So this is one of the things. These are all pictures that I took in Pennsylvania. And I said, create a blended collage of these places I recently visited in PA. So it did one, but I didn't like it because let's click on this so you can see it. I can't make it bigger. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, it kind of doubled up and made a weird thing here in the corner. So I said, well, what would you like removed from I said, remove this from the image. And I didn't really tell what it is. And it's, what do you want to remove? I said, just remove the part I selected. Oh, because they have an edit. So I selected that and it didn't work. It did this, which was probably a thing. So what I said, remove the images in the bottom right corner and fill with this image. So this is what it did. So it kind of blends the images together. I mean, initially, I think the original one, it gave me, I think where's another one here? Oh, this one I tried with my picture in it and I didn't like it. It just pulled up, random pictures and, put all these different places I'd never even been to. Then I said, how about just giving me stuff in Pennsylvania? And it gave me places I didn't go to either, but it was doing a better job of it. So that's when I switched over here and did say, okay, I'm going to use the images that I took and put those together. So I mean, I guess stuff like that. The other thing it does is great. I mean, I've used it for, oh, here's a good one. on when we were on our one day Tampa Bay Camera Club in Tampa, in downtown Tampa. I took a picture of this drummer, but it's boring, it's yucky. So I said, put the drummer in a nightclub setting with dramatic lighting, and that's what it did.
So now this is altered reality.
Yeah, this is definitely altered reality. I mean, technically I couldn't use this because at this point in our club, this would not be acceptable because it's mostly AR or AI. But I'm doing this for fun. I'm not doing these pictures for competition. I'm having fun. And that's I mean, if you guys know Rick Salmon has gotten into AI big time. He's even got a class on Kelby with AI. And I've listened to the class, and it's typical Rick Salmon. It's a lot of advertising for his other classes in his books, but he also talks about why he's doing AI. And he's 78 or 79, and he's it's hard for somebody that's older to say somebody that old is doing all this new stuff, but he spends a lot of time with it, and he takes pictures that he's taken and does stuff like this with it, and he's making some crazy videos where the guy, it's him, and he's jumping from the room out the window and into the water, and I mean, he's done some stuff that I haven't even tried yet. But here's this is the fun stuff, but it's a serious thing too. I am, playing with this bracelet design thing, and I've spent many hours with ChatGPT creating designs, and it took me a while, but we got to a point here where it's giving me this. This is not an easy thing to create, not even if you do this yourself. And basically, it's giving me patterns. It tells me I've given it my inventory. It knows what beads I have. It tells me how many beads I need of each variety. And, and I print these out, and I've got a record of each pattern that I've made. So this is the kind of really cool stuff it can do, which, basically it does some thinking. And like I said, I had to go through hours of reiteration to get to this point, but it's possible. You just have to keep saying, no, that's not what I want. I want you to do this. And it's funny because it gave me this format quite unexpectedly a couple of days ago. And I said, oh my God, that's what I really need. It was giving me a much more spread out, multiple page deal. And I said, I want everything on one page. And it took us a while because it was, running all this stuff together. But you just say, no, I don't want it. This is the way I want it. And you just keep telling it. And guess what? It does it. It's insane.
And it never gets pissed off at you for constantly asking.
No, it doesn't get pissed off. It just, and you feel like you're talking to somebody, so you say please. And ChatGPT, you can either type it in or you can talk to it. I'm not comfortable talking to it, so I type it all in. But you have to, after you've done it a few times, even with the trip things, you've got to be very specific about what it is you want. And sometimes it gives you the right thing. I mean, I have set up this as a template, and I still have to remind it every time, this is the template I want to use. Don't go anywhere else with this, because we've done so many. I probably created, I don't know, 50, not that many, maybe 30 different setups that didn't work. So this is the kind of stuff that you can do with this. And Claude is the other one that's similar to ChatGPT. It's not quite the same. It doesn't seem to have quite the ability yet that ChatGPT has. So does anybody have any questions about ChatGPT?
Frank had something, I believe.
Go ahead.
Well, we were talking about ChatGPT's conversational style. It does come to you, and it's very subservient, and it will make you feel like you're the smartest person in the world. Even if you aren't.
I screwed up.
So I have something. Diana earlier said, why would you want to have a conversation with AI? So I have a good example from 2 days ago. I have Google Home and I have Gemini Pro. And I walked into the kitchen and I took out some pork chops. I wanted to make dinner. And I said, I can't say it now. You hate Google. And then, yes, now she's waking up a little. But I said, I need a recipe for pork chops for tonight. And she gave me a recipe, and I said, well, I don't like that ingredient. Give me a recipe that doesn't have that ingredient. I'm allergic to that. Give me a recipe that doesn't have that. I don't have that in the I don't have that in the house right now. I don't want to go to the grocery store. Give me a recipe that doesn't need
Wow.
this.
Yeah.
And it came up with a recipe that I loved. And
Yeah.
then the whole thing, I said, hey, uh, create a document with that recipe and export it to my Google Drive, and it did that. So the next time I go to it, I can. The next time I want to make that again, I just go to my Google Drive and pull up the recipe. So that's
That's
why.
all. Yeah. I just was talking about, people like, I don't know, my grandkids when they were little used to talk to Alexa all the time. And, I'm
Well,
like,
Alexa is much more smarter than she used to be. Believe me, she can have a conversation with you. Yeah,
Hey, Lynn,
yeah.
Lynn, you said you have a subscription to ChatGPT.
Yes.
yeah,
How much is that?
I think
$8 a month.
yeah, it
I'm
depends
sorry?
on the level. There's different levels. I can't remember which one I've got. I think it's $10 a month.
Yeah,
Oh.
$8 or $10 a month. And
Yeah,
I've
but I
used
mean, I
and
use
it's
it so
worth
much.
it.
I mean, you can see this one little section here of doing these bracelets. I have
Yep.
been. This
Hey.
is a lot. I've and I like I said, I got stuff that I thought was good, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, it popped me and it gave me the, whoa, stop. It gave me this one. Where is it? Where is it? This. And it changed. It had been giving me PDFs, and it suddenly changed and it gave me a PNG. And I told it, "Nah, I don't want a PNG," and then it couldn't quite get there again. So I said, "Okay, never mind. Go back to the PNG. If I was doing this with a person, they'd kill me." I'm like, no, you got to do this. Can you put the letters on the diagram? I mean, every single time, and it says, I redesigned the beach, good catch. I removed the unavailable HTL 459. I'm like, it doesn't get mad at you. It's
So
awesome.
just
Lynn,
somebody was asking about the price. Google Pro is Gemini Pro is 19.99 a month, and it comes with 5 terabytes of storage. And I would pay $50 a month in a heartbeat for what
Yeah.
I use it for. I just started with it in January, and it's becoming part of my life. I use it all the time.
Okay, here's another thing that you can do with it. Guess what I did? I put an image in here. I dropped that image in here. You've seen this image. And I said, critique this image. Look what it
Oh,
gave me.
wow.
Composition, centered subject, architectural curves, light and mood, texture and detail, areas. We don't need Robert and Jim anymore.
I was just going to say.
But it's just one of those things you can, artistic read, overall assessment. It gave me 5.9.5s out of 10. I mean, it was a pretty cool. This would likely print exceptionally well, large format on matte fine art paper, Verita or metal with a strained gloss. I'm like, this is insane, the stuff that it does. So, any questions on chat? Any more questions on Chat GTP?
Lynn, are you using projects? Because I think that's
No, I
one of
have
the
not.
issues you might be having
Yeah,
with especially with the bead thing,
yeah,
is you have to worry about the context window when it comes to AI. And if your context window has been compacted or you've exceeded it, then you're
right.
going to run into those things where it deviates. So I actually can show you if you want some of my projects that I use with ChatGPT and
Yeah,
Claude.
not tonight. We don't have time for that tonight, but we can
I
do that
use
instead.
projects too, Ron, because it keeps things separate. Otherwise, it'll have my trip next to
Yeah,
the recipe for salmon.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I
And
need to I
also
need
you
to
can
start doing
include
that because
specific
like I
files
said, I've
and
just been playing with it, and
Uh,
this bead thing I just started within the last couple of weeks. So
okay,
I
again.
mean, this is one of the things I did do. I told it save this. This is when I got to this thing here, this format. I said save it, so it would save it. Yeah,
Lynn, hold on just a second. Ron was making a point. I wanted to
yeah.
hear
Go
the end of
ahead.
that point.
yeah, so the utilization of projects, it allows you to have those memories and it be specific to that area. And you can include specifications, you can include specific directives for things that are used just within that project.
Right.
And it means that your context window gets smaller because it's only referring to a certain subset. Like you could create multiple chats to have like different bracelets in this
Right,
case.
right.
And the more context that a AI model has to work with as a percentage of its context window, the more random you're going to get answers and the messier things are going to get. You're going to see less things that make sense. You're going to see
Right.
more issues in images if you're continuing to generate an image after an image after an image all within that window. And there's other factors like what's called temperature and that which you can't play around with on these web based ones, but you can on local models that also factor into those sorts of things.
So the answer is?
So really managing context is one thing that hasn't been touched on,
Right.
but is super important when you're using a generative AI.
And what do you mean by concept?
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn.
So context is
Context.
the entire chat and everything that it's looked at. So files that it's read, that you've provided it, images that you've provided or that it's generated, those all take space up in its memory. And each of these AI models only has a certain amount of memory. So when it gets close to that, you're going to see worse performance. You're going to see more random performance, or it's going to forget things because once it reaches a certain point, it has to compact that context, which means it's distilling down what is in its memory, as it were, and it's going to forget things. And so you're going to see those regressions like you saw with your beads.
Yeah.
So that's why using projects, having specification files that it can read within an environment helps to keep context low, and so that you can have more effective and consistent results. And you also really have to watch like what models you're using too. So you've got instant models, you've got thinking models, you've got different performances there. And those will have different context windows. So for instance, that instant model, that's going to have a smaller context window than a thinking model will versus the GPT Pro model that you have on the higher tiers.
Right.
And it also really varies too. So like if memory serves, the Haiku model for Claude has a context window of 200,000, right? But then their Opus model has a context window of 1,000,000. So you can use that Haiku model a lot less before you start seeing weird behavior. It just stops responding than you can the Opus model.
Okay, Ron, you just done a Jim Sykes type of thing. Let me boil this down. If you give GPT too much information, it acts like a human being and starts to forget what it is you told it, and you dummy it down. But if you give it smaller projects to do and let it complete those smaller projects, you tend to have much more of a success rate. Am I close?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's
I think
I understand what you're saying.
I think Ron needs to do an education night on ChatGPT because
although I think he'd lose us really quick.
Right. So
too deep if it weren't for me.
yeah, but I get what you're saying now, and I understand where you're going.
It definitely makes sense. Like I said, I've only been messing with this for a short time. What I was doing initially with it was I was doing back actually a couple years ago when I first started using GPT, I was actually using it to create prompts for Midjourney, believe it or not. Because it would actually, if you told it to create a prompt for Midjourney, it would give you all the parameters that you needed, and now it's all up when it was on Discord, which was the gaming app that it was sitting on. You needed to type in all the parameters. Now you just click and on the website you click the parameters, so you don't have to do all that stuff. So it's a lot easier to pull things together now than you don't really need ChatGPT to create the prompts. But on one other thing, what I really got started doing this was, and you guys have heard some of this, is I started creating song lyrics. First on ChatGPT, then I would take them into another program like Notes or something, and I would redo some of the lyrics to satisfy me because I didn't particularly always like everything that it said. But then you take the like here's a song. I created this song about our trip to Pennsylvania. So I try to get it to look. This is what I found out it wouldn't look at Adobe because I tried to tell it to look at my Adobe gallery on Lightroom, and it said it couldn't do that. So I gave it permission to go to my website, which is public anyway, and told it to look at the galleries with these particular places in in Pennsylvania, and it wrote these lyrics all about Pennsylvania. Okay, so then what I do is I copy these and I put them on Notes. And where is my, I don't know, where is it? It may not be in here. Oh, there it is. Here's the song, and I already changed some of the lyrics. And you just copy this. And you take it in here to Suno AI Music. This is the last thing I'm going to show you tonight. Again, very surface type of coverage here. This is where you create the music that goes on with the song. So you go to create here, and it looks different on the desktop than it does on your phone or on your iPad. So every time all the the look of how you look at it and see it changes every time you move to another device. But anyway, here's where you put in your lyrics here. Or just copy and paste them all in. And then here you tell it what style of music you want. So it gives you some ideas. It says fast paced. I mean, it gives you some ideas of what you want. Or you could just type in stuff. So where is my Pennsylvania? I said country pop, male, female vocals, catchy. And so the one that then you let it rip, do its thing. And let's just do one for the heck of it. Only takes 30 seconds, so why not? Catchy. Oops, can't type. Oh, and if you don't want lyrics, you just don't put them in there, and you just tell it to do an instrumental, and it'll create an instrumental of whatever style you want as well. You can tell it the title, and then simply hit create. And watch how fast it does this. And it is now on 5.5, version 5.5, which is I believe it's their newest version. Let's see if they got another one. Nope, it's 5.5. And this is a subscription as well. I think this one's $8 a month.
And it creates an album cover for you too.
Yeah, creates an album cover, but you can, and it's based on the title, but you can also change the image as well to whatever, use an image of your own if you want to. So it created this song here, but now it's creating a whole new one. So every time you run it, it creates a different image, even if or not a different image, a different song. So other than the words, it uses the same lyrics, but it'll change the music and the voice and the vocals. So let's see, it's almost done. It obviously creates the instrumentals faster than it does the ones with vocals in them or lyrics.
Has to go find a singer.
Yep, got to go find a singer and hire them and bring in the musicians in the background. And takes, a minute.
Guaranteed to sound professional,
Yeah.
but not necessarily enjoyable.
Well, I've had pretty good luck with it because, and you can see
Oh.
I've done quite a few here. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't always like the first or second or third or fourth ones that I do, but I usually find one that I like. And yeah, it's just another one of those fun things to do. That's,
Right.
for Easter, I was going to go visit my family, and I've got a couple of little grand nieces and nephews, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to create a little Easter song for them? So I created a little Easter song, and they loved it. It was about jumping around bunnies, and they were jumping around, and it was just, one of those things that's just fun to do, and it's like I said, it's this. I think, like I said, it's $8 or $10 a month, and I can create, I don't know, 2,500 songs. It's ridiculous how many songs I can create.
Yeah, you can do a lot for free too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think all of these, I'm not sure if Midjourney still has a freebie. It might, but most of them have a free trial that you can do. Not even a trial, you can just use it forever, but you have a limited abilities. Much more limited abilities. This one's taking longer than usual. It might be because of Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
Does
Lynn,
it,
Yeah.
the music that gets created, is there any sort of a copyright?
No, evidently not, because I can publish this.
So,
There
okay,
is-
that
There
was
are
my
copyright.
question.
There are copyright lawsuits going on.
Yeah. Yeah. But
But-
nothing. Yeah. Yeah. So, but there's hundreds of millions of these being produced every day.
Yeah.
Looks like it's finished.
How
For
deep-
example, if we created a short film, a short video clip, and use this to provide music, that would be appropriate.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
It
well, it
would be
depends on.
acceptable. I mean,
Every slideshow that I've done for the last 4 or 5 months has had a music that I've created in Suno
okay.
for the club. So, and I have not had any, we publish those on Netflix, on YouTube, and YouTube hasn't had any issues with it at all yet. They check all of those. So I haven't had any problems with it so far, but this is what we created.
And the songs, how much control does it give you?
You don't really have any control. I mean, you can get the pro version and have a lot more control.
Right.
Or
Will
it's
it
Premiere.
do things like
Yeah.
rhyming, rhythmic pentameter, the rhythm within the line?
Say that again.
Will allow you to control rhyming like every other line? Will it allow you to use?
No, that you have to do when you do the lyrics over in ChatGPT, and then, like I said, I took them into notes, or you can take it into Word or wherever you want to, and you can redo the rhyming there.
Cool.
So yeah, I
according
will
to their
redo the rhyming here, then I copy it and bring the lyrics over into Suno, and it throws it all together and then creates a song. So let's hear it real quickly here.
Cool.
Can you hear it?
No.
Nope.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, so
Just voice.
and here's the other one. It'll be totally different.
Hear it?
just barely. Can you turn up the volume on it?
Yeah, it's probably because when let me stop sharing and bring it back in again, because I didn't turn on the sound.
I'm on the Sono web page, and it says if you have a if you're a paid subscriber, then you get to keep your music and use it pretty much for what you want.
Yep.
So
Okay, maybe this will work better.
Morning fog on the mountain rail, old brick ghosts and a whistle trail, cobblestone echoes under my feet in the quiet heart of Jim Thorpe's streets. Windows glowing through autumn rain,
So that's one version. And then again, we'll go back to the second one, and it's just a little bit different. Well, that's the same way before.
Pennsylvania.
And they do some ad-libbing too.
Morning fog on the mountain rail, old brick ghosts and.
So, I mean, that's kind of, I just wanted to show you some of the stuff that I play with. And that's, let's see. Is there any questions about Suno?
I just want to have a
question. Can you create a solo, like a banjo solo for 1 minute and 27 seconds? If you have a YouTube clip, you
could give it those parameters and it will create those for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really kind of cool. I mean, like I said, for each of the slideshows that I've done for us, the last 4 or 5 months, I've been creating songs with Suno so that I don't have any, because I was running out of stuff. I have Premiere Pro, so I have access to free music on Adobe's website, they're in their server, but I was running out of stuff that I like. So I thought, you know what, let me try Suno, and I can create exactly the length I need, the kind of music I want. It can be, I can have lyrics, so I don't have to have lyrics, and I can, run to 2 or 3 of them and figure out the one I like best, and that's what I put on the slideshow.
So I just want to make a word of warning that depending on your audience on social media, doing that might make you a target of significant online discourse that you may not like.
Yeah.
Particularly in regards to using AI music. Even if you're using like AI tools to help you write lyrics, saying that then like I wrote the lyrics and then putting that into Suno and saying I made this music, people like in regards to doing photography, that would be like typing a prompt into Midjourney and saying I made this photo. And with the way that AI is like both generative AI is trained on works that were often stolen from under their creators, and also the use of AI is like coming for the employment streams of creative people. Online communities full of creatives often have like extreme anti-AI public sentiment.
Yeah.
So be warned.
Be warned. Yeah.
If you
well,
are,
it's just like using anything else. I mean,
totally.
Some AI in photography is the same exact way.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But like it is an extremely touchy topic.
Right.
I would think that with the ability of this program, you can get so close to a particular singer's voice that it's almost stealing his voice. Have they run into the problem?
Suno doesn't work that way, but other AI programs do work that way.
Right.
But not Suno. It just comes with a very generic voices, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And for the record, I use Claude Code at work, so I also use AI tools.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to use it these days because it's so helpful,
Yeah. And I think that also the marketing stance of the people who run the companies is not winning anybody any favors. Right. But it's a lot. So that's all.
I mean, unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be here, whether we like it or not.
Well, that is the inevitable.
It's better to understand it and see what it can do than to say, oh, I'm, it's just like, digital cameras. It's just like anything else. There's always going to be that bunch of people that don't like it and are afraid of it or don't want to have anything to do with it. And so, I think it's better to at least know about it than to be totally unknowledgeable about it. So
that was Photoshop in 2001.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
Photoshop wasn't going to replace whole industries,
Yeah.
and this is. Yeah.
But it
Well,
sure drove a lot of people out. That and
I will
digital.
tell you this, that Photoshop, the digital camera, all of those things were said, and they did replace industries. They
Well,
did replace people,
Yeah.
and they
well,
did replace a bunch of retouchers and such.
Yeah.
Right,
So
because before
all
too,
things,
But
all things since the horse and buggy
yeah, I was going
have
right
had
there.
yeah, but
have had an audience of resistance,
Yep.
and
Computers have replaced people.
Yep.
and then they become ubiquitous in our
Yeah.
lives. We learn how to use them. We learn how to move forward.
Right.
So
Computers put some
I
people
remember
out of a
one
job and
thing.
then but gave me a job. So
I
right.
remember one thing as a parent is that I used to give kids blocks, but today we give them iPads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I had
so
a,
D
They're not
Diana,
thrilled with Legos anymore.
Diana, I hear what you're saying loudly, and
Mhm.
Ron, I appreciate what your contributions were to the understanding. And just about everybody here is participating in this because it is of a great interest
Yeah.
to us. But Lynn is pointing out the inevitable is that we either embrace it, learn about it, or
Fall behind.
fall behind.
yeah.
And we
what
don't
did
have
Dylan?
any choices.
Yep.
And I would
Yep.
like to think that this club, this group, you photographers and creatives will find ways to implement them as well as keeping the integrity of your own work. So,
Yeah.
Also, if you have a subscription to Photoshop, you've got access to Firefly, Banana, and Nana Banana. Actually, some of ChatGPT right in Photoshop. Now, I think your credits, it costs credits for most of those, but you don't. If you want to at least play with them, that's a good place to go in there. So if you go into, let me share Photoshop real quick again. I forgot to mention that. If you are in Photoshop Home and you can go to the Firefly Workplace. You can click on this, and it gives you all the different programs that they have. The different so they've got ChatGPT 2.1.5, Gemini, which is with Nana Banana, and then they've got Flux 2 and Flux, Context and Context Pro. So I'm sure these cost credits.
That's like $12 a month, $19 a month. I just talked to them.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's a possibility to have some of this stuff actually right in Photoshop, which you already have. So just wanted to make sure you're aware of that.
Hey, Lynn,
Yeah.
each of the photo examples we looked at were Photoshop. Does Lightroom have these features
No.
or anything that's similar?
You're talking about removing all that stuff? Not
Yeah.
automatically. Yeah. Well, it has. It removes people and
Yep.
dust and sensor dust spots.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it. It doesn't have the ability to do anything else yet, I don't think. Hold on a second. Let me look.
You can use develop in from Lightroom, and that has a lot of AI add-ons, if you will, that will do AI kinds of stuff for you.
Yeah,
in
you have
Lightroom.
you have reflections, people, and dust, and the reflections is not very good.
Now reflections,
Yeah,
now
worked.
Yeah.
does the removal, like dust removal, let's use that as an example. Is that better in
Well,
Photoshop, or
I
is that
found
better
that
in
the
Lightroom?
dust removal in Lightroom is better with sensor dust, where
Okay.
the one in Photoshop is better with physical dust that's on it's actually on your image, that like that black background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had really good luck with it messing around with doing a good job with sensor dust, where
Okay.
Lightroom does a fairly good job. It's not 100%, but you still have to. What I found when I was doing multiple ones, I almost think it almost learned, because what I was doing was I was picking all these spots. It would pick some, and then I would pick a few more that it missed. And the next time I did another image on that same batch of images that were obviously, they all had the same spots on the sensor because I hadn't, I was shooting all day and I didn't have time yet and stop to clean it. It would pick out the spots that I added after I did it a couple times. So it was learning. But the minute I, went on to another set of images, it was gone again. So we're, turned off Lightroom. So
When we were,
it seems almost like it has some ability to figure out that, oh yeah, there's spots here that I didn't see before, and she's added in, instead they're there. So let's add them again, on the next image that I do it. So we'll see. I mean, every time they do an update, it gets a little better.
Karen had a question there.
Go ahead, Karen.
No, I was just going to say, when we were in the Museum of Modern Art last month, they had a photograph on the wall and it was dust on a board for 2 months. And that's what it was, a board with dust on it.
Heck, we could have submitted that as an abstract.
I know.
Yeah. Or negative space,
There you go.
Abstract.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions about AI that are surface level?
Hey, Lynn, I'm not so sure if we need to go any further.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't you do your thing on Lightroom?
That's what I'm saying.
You don't want to?
I can do it. I just
It's only
was wondering
8:30.
if we could save it for another time.
We got to have an hour.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You sure you guys want to take like a 2-minute, 5-minute break or something?
Sure.
I'll take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, 5-minute break or so, and then and come back, and mine will take about 15, 20 minutes max.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Lynn.
Yeah.
You mentioned just in passing once whether people would be interested in a class for this. And I certainly, I would specifically like to get something particularly related to working with Photoshop, working with images,
Right.
as opposed to
just creating
creating
something.
Yeah. A lot of the other things that it can
Well,
do.
it's much easier to do that now than it was even 6 months ago.
Well,
so yeah. Because I tried, Midjourney started letting you use your images probably a year and a half or so ago, and it was terrible. I still am not real crazy about how Midjourney handles stuff like that. ChatGPT, actually, you saw the drummer. I did that I tried it in Midjourney, and it totally changed everything. It wasn't the same picture at all. Well, ChatGPT actually took my image, and if there was any changes, were minute. That's the other thing what Jim was talking about in Photoshop is if you go in there and use your picture, and you use anything but Firefly, it changes it. So it's not really your picture anymore. I mean, it changes the actual part of the picture that you would hope it would keep, like the person. It changes it. So there's issues with that as well. So you've got to be careful about, I do not put anything online that I do not say is AI. Everything I says AI, that is AI. If it's AI, I put on there AI. So there's no question about it. And I'm not trying to, because there's plenty of stuff on there that is AI that is not indicated as being AI. Believe me, tons of it.
Hey, Lynn, have you tried Crea at all?
No, I have not.
Okay.
There's a ton of them out there. I tried probably 4 or 5 of them, different programs initially when I first got into this in 22. And I immediately gravitated toward Midjourney because even though it was a pain in the butt to get into it because of it being in Discord, it was by far the most, I got the best images. Some of the other ones were just, the images were terrible. I mean, even though I was getting 5-legged horses in Midjourney, I was getting even worse images in these other apps. So I kind of stuck with Midjourney, and only, like I said, I've only really played with the others a little bit recently, like ChatGPT, and I never really got into Dolly because it was also initially very complicated to do anything with it. So Midjourney's kind of been the one I've stuck with most of the time. So you ready, Robert?
Ready whenever you are. Do I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen. I think I gave you permission.
Okay. And let's see. Let's start with, okay. Um, so are we seeing the screens now?
Yes, yes,
We see a boat.
yes.
All
That
right.
is a cruise ship.
A cruise ship. Yeah, I was just on recently on a cruise ship. One of the things that's interesting that I'll do sometimes when I do a shoot, I'll take all the images from that particular shoot and dump it into a time lapse sort of deal, just for fun. So, um, so here is that shoot.
I think you were on a moving boat.
Yes. No, the time lapse was not. This is not in order to create a time lapse, an actual time lapse. This is all this is to do is just show show the shoot, the entire shoot. So this is kind of fun. Is that you take your entire shoot and then you dump it into Photoshop and make a little movie out of it. And how do you do that? That's a question. Well, it's a matter of numbering. It's very easy to do. So I'm gonna just close this out. Don't save. And one of the things, the ways you do it is you'll go into File and you'll say Open. And the way it works is that you need to number your files, export them and number them in a sequence of 3, 0, 0, 1, all, and let them just all the way until it gets to the end of however many images you want. So you'll click on the first image. This is time lapse ship, and then you'll come down and say image sequence like that, open, and you want to tell it how many frames per second. It's usually about 23, 24. And then you click OK, and you'll get this little screen right here. And once you get this little screen, you just hit the play button. And that's your all the things you did on that little shoot. And it's a fun little thing to do on your shoots. And then at the end, you go File, Export, and then render video and give it a name. And so that's pretty much how it works. But that's not what we're here. We're here to talk about the masking inside of Lightroom. Some of the commands of intersect, subtract, and add different types of masking. So it's a brief overview. Let's go to Lightroom if we can. And there we go. Here we are in the interface of Lightroom. Let me mention something about judging just on the side. Oftentimes when we submit our imagery, we talk about removing things, what would look better, cropping, and all of that. And that is for the purpose of giving out an image that is widely acceptable based on judging, not necessarily based on the image being going in your house, given to your friends, creating your book, or even put it on a wall at a museum. In fact, a lot of times what you'll see in those particular places will have things that you would say to yourself, this would never fly at a camera club. But a camera club is not a museum. A camera club is not a book. A camera club is not your own personal desire for photography. So your own personal desire for photography can have anything. In other words, it can have a whole bunch of distractions in them. And it can be wide and it can have a lot of sky and it can be directly in the center if you want. Let that be an understanding that that photograph is the ownership of yours and you get the final word. But by coming to a camera club, is simply to say, hey, camera club, how do you guys see this image? And I want to make sure that that's understood by all of us when we do these judging and or critiques or commentary. Now, this is not the image that I want, but I do want you to know that on a cruise ship, you don't get to see very much. So when something comes along, you make a picture of it. let's go to what it is that I really want to get to, and that which are those images that you just saw and what they look like in the beginning and what I want you to see in the end. When I shot these images of the boat, the ship going underneath the bridge, something like so, that this is what my camera's giving me. It's in the middle of the freaking day. But that's not well, it's a little bit in the afternoon, but that's not necessarily what I want my audience to see. It's a simple shot, nothing great. But what I was hoping for is to get this little cruise ship right here directly in the middle in line with this portion right here. And then make this simple shot, this very simple, dull, boring shot into something. Now we're gonna go and talk about how that actually happens. And we're going to do it through masking. And let me get through and show you all of the things about how I actually approach an image. Let's go through and here. Okay, there we go. F and F.
Cool.
All right, you see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
There are things I'd like to point out in this particular image that I wanted to show you how I see things. I saw this as saying, I want these to be golden. I want this to be a late evening shot with these things all golden. I want to make sure that you got the feeling that the light was coming from this direction. I also wanted you to know that this particular water line right here, this water wake was emphasized. You see how it's going toward the back here? Like so? I want that emphasized. I also want you to know that this water right here that's in this photograph is full of water that we don't need, but we can utilize because I want this image to be something very large in its final state. A large photograph in its final state, that means you can shoot very, very wide and utilize a lot of sky and water or a lot of space. There's a buoy here that I really needed to stay there because it's in the final image, because in the foreground, I need to give you somewhere to look. If I'm going to include all this space down here, I need to give you something in that space. Not necessarily to say, hey, my eye goes there, which would be a critique. My eye goes there, and I don't want my eye to go there, and I wanted to stay on the ship. But no, in my case, I want your eye to see this. I want you to know that you're in the channel. I want these small details in a large image, in an image that's going to be printed large, to hold you. So this piece right here is very important. The wires are very important. The color of the sky is very important. How do we get there? We get there just by like so. And that's done through masking. How do we do the masking? Let's go back. Go back, Robert F. And we start off by saying, okay, this particular image, if I was to, let me minimize this portion right here, get to my develop module, one of the first things that I start off by doing is deciding a profile. In this case, I'm going to be doing adaptive color. Adaptive color, you can do color, landscape, you can do anything you want, but I tend to do adaptive color because it gives me the highlights, shadows, and midpoint range as a neutral. So there you go. I got everything there. And then I'll do a auto in the exposure. I mean, the color balance. Now, if you notice that profile, you see it was very blue overall. And that's what the daylight is actually giving you out there in midday. It's a very bluish type of light, but I want that light to be neutral. So it gives me a starting point. Right here on my cruise ship, it's all white, but there's no sense of
Depth.
emotion in this. So what are we going to do? I want to keep all of this foreground. One of the things we do is we use a linear gradient. And that linear gradient goes like so. And we all know these little things and then bring them down and say, okay, by creating that little bit of depth there, that leads us in. But at the same time, I need to give the illusion of blue water. So what do? I bring the temperature down. So now that blue goes from fades in blue to a neutral. Great, wonderful. I mentioned something about having a golden sky. I mean, a golden sky, but I want the what do you call these struts to actually have that gold. So how do I select that? I select that by, let me go into 100% over here. Not get that 100%. I'm going to move this around. And I say, okay, I want this part to be very golden. What am I going to do to select this part? I am going to go with a luminous mask, luminous range. It's got a tone to it rather than a color. So if I select this tone, like so, look at what it gives me. See, it gives me those wires because it matches this tone. If I pull out, you'll see that I have all of that tone over here as well, but I don't want that tone. So what can I do? I can subtract with another linear, not a linear gradient, a luminous range. And I can say, subtract that portion right over there. And then I can refine that. See, it's already taken it out. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Now you say, okay, well, what about that? Still select it. But if it isn't, if I took out too much, let me go back. There you go. I moved this linear subtract to say, I don't want this tonal range right here. I mean, the white tonal range. I only want this gray tonal range. So I've subtracted from that luminous range. Okay, yes, I've lost you. And I feather it out like so. There you go. And then the last part of that, because I can't get it all in one, I will then subtract a linear gradient. Guess what? Boop, got it all. Well, what about down here? I don't want that water. I'll actually put in a subtraction, another subtraction of a linear gradient. There you go. And then move that up like so.
And then you're using a luminance range on that?
No, that's just a linear gradient, which means the luminance range is already set. But because I've subtracted it over
Okay,
here,
got it.
it has the same over there.
Got it.
Now, because I've done those two and I'm looking to make this warm, this is what's being affected, meaning that the struts are being affected and the wires have been affected. Now I can actually add that warmth.
Your boat was selected too, though, Robert.
Say again?
Your boat was selected too.
Oh, I understand.
Okay.
All right, it is selected, but you see the warmth that I'm putting in there?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, that's not warm enough. We talked about color grading and adding colors. I can also add a bit more warmth in there and saturation. There you go. Now, let me actually click on this again and say, all right, I actually want to subtract this out from, let's bring it down a little bit and subtract it out from the bottom struts. So it's only affecting the top struts. Then I say, all right, great, Robert, you've done that. Anytime I darken the bottom, I'll then come back and darken the top. Plus linear gradient, come down. Bring that exposure down, highlights down, add a color to it, like so. Overdo everything just so you can bring it back. Now I've locked in the bottom half. I've locked in the top half. I've given it some form of a color up there so that the warmth can actually stand out. Now, if this comes all the way down and it came into the wire, I would say subtract from the sky. But that's that I haven't sold you yet. This part, it was mentioned earlier that the ship was part of it, and I don't want it to be a part of it. So I go back to my mask down here, and what do? I subtract, select object, and simply draw around this, like so. And you see now it's taken that out of it, out of the mix. Great, wonderful. But I don't want it to, let's see, I'm still getting a little bit of this down here. I still want that to come up there just a little bit. Great. But I want to now define the fact that the sun is coming from over here on the right-hand side, and let's give it a radial. I love radials. Put it off to the side. Give it an angle. Don't ever let anything be at a perpendicular or vertical, straight up and down. Always give something a little bit of obtuseness. Raise that temperature. By raising the temperature, what are you going to get? You're going to get a bit of warmth. I don't have to have it all the way in here, but a bit of warmth. Now, in that warmth, I generally would then do a second one, plus another radial.
I love watching the master work.
And that radial itself is going to be, let me actually reduce the size of this down to a 12 or something like that. Yeah, there you go. Good. And move this over. A second radial so that the sun is usually brighter in this particular area. And I will then add that extra warmth in that, just in that little corner area right there. And let it extend just a little bit over here. Now, let me go back to this other, not that one, but this one. Yeah. And let's pull that over that way just a little bit so we can actually identify the sun. But that's not the whole of it. Let's work on our boat to make sure that it has something. So we select that boat again. Once we select that boat, we can now give that exposure, the highlights down to make it a little bit darker. But give it some warmth. And in giving something some warmth, I'd love to actually give it dimension. Light would not wrap around that much in there, so I would then actually subtract a radial. Enlarge the image to 100%. Go in here like so. Subtract like so.
What are you subtracting?
I'm subtracting the warmth off of that back.
Okay.
I want it on the side because that's where it's coming in. Give the whole thing a little bit of contrast for definition. I don't need that much sun, but and then run a second radial on the back and give that a little bit of red. Red is going to be a combination of yellow and magenta. A little bit of that red, and then lower the exposure on it to give it that dimension. All right. So then we have to say, okay, I want you to know where this boat is coming from. So plus brush, flow and density, it'll be at 100% to start around the boat. It's going to be just around it to establish it. There's the main one. Then lower the flow, bigger brush, lower flow. Let me give myself a little bit of room. Smaller brush. And let's just bring up that exposure just a little bit. That line is now established, but it needs a little bit of color. And I want you to know where it's coming from, because this part right here is very important. We're going to add a radial just in this area right here. Smaller, off, exposure up. This gives me somewhere to go into. Final two closing, another linear gradient from the top down with a little extra exposure from the top and a little extra color back from it. And then what you do to the top, you must also do to the bottom. Linear gradient, they call that congruency, and darker, like so. Pull it all together, 6%. 6% radial. Sun is coming from this side over here, correct? And because it is bigger, invert.
You're putting a vignette?
Small one, but an outward vignette. You don't put a complete circle around it.
Right.
No complete circle, because that gives you, anytime something is even, it's artificial. And at the end of that, final is going to be a little bit of contrast.
Wouldn't you put clarity too, Robert?
I don't need clarity.
Okay.
I don't need clarity. That now you could put that in there, but yeah, I don't need it because that's not what it's about. It's about the masking. I put it back to fit, and then I say enjoy.
Love it.
It's just amazing.
I love watching you work.
Yeah.
So every part of this photograph has a place. And the warmth of the late evening.
Robert.
So let me get out of this and let me. Oh no, actually, let me leave it there and then go ahead and entertain any thoughts.
Robert, when you did your radio at the top, you said anytime you do a radio at the top or the bottom, you got to do it vice versa. Is that
not
like
necessarily? I did a linear gradient.
I mean, a linear, not radio,
yes.
linear.
Yes.
Is that like a rule of thumb?
Well, it's not so much a rule of thumb. It's just that if you're going to darken one part of the image and leave the other part not darkened, then what you're doing is you're leaving room for your viewer to go out of the photograph rather than stay into it.
All right.
So when we look at this, we do have the warmth of the late evening. And even under the pylons, I gave it a little extra down there as well. But you have all the information. And you want people to look at your photograph. But you see how now by darkening this bottom, it gave me room to add light or add exposure in this area right here.
And that gives
anybody
weight,
thoughts or comments?
And that gives weight and a solid base to the image as well.
Yes.
Any other questions on this, guys?
No, but I just looked at that picture and I thought to myself, you know, when she showed it to me when we had a class a couple of days ago, and I'm like, that's a nothing photo. And if it had been not from you, not from you, Robert, but I mean, if I had shot that, I would have deleted it because to me, you know, I don't see this, like I don't know how to create this. And,
now you do.
now I do. Yeah. No. And I mean, I would have looked at the boat and the boat is fuzzy and, I'm all about sharpness because I'm blind as a bat. So
The boat is sharp.
yeah,
It's sharp.
it is sharp. Yeah.
Robert, did you put that horizontal lightness in there to indicate the path of the boat?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, this lightning is right here.
Yes.
Yes, indicated something else is part of it, but it is a line that's leading you to this line right there.
Yeah.
S curve. Right, yeah.
Yes.
So Robert, this is very impressive. I would just like to assure you that in working on 14 years a member of this club, I never have and I never will put that much work into a photograph. It's just not what I want to do with photographs. I want to get it outside. I want to go out. I want to drive out there at sunset and get it naturally. That's an awful lot of work.
By the way, how much time did it take to do this?
Well, you've been doing it for years. It would take me a week and a half to do what you just did.
And by the way, just to clarify what you just said, it would take you a week and a half to do it. And I will tell you, Brian, with what you do with photography, some little kid or some little newbie in photography comes along and says about your images, damn, Brian, how did you learn to do all of that?
Yeah.
They're just as impressed. So yes, I've been doing it for a while. But the point on the images of me is that the images does not begin and end with the shutter button click.
Right.
Yeah, and what you're seeing is these are a different vision from each person. You bring your collective view of all the things you've seen in your life, and Robert, that's what you brought to the image. So and you have the technical skills to execute it. So you're executing that way. And that's why it's cool being in a group like this, because you see how other people are interpreting what's around us.
So back in the day, Robert, would you have dodged and burned?
Oh, absolutely. Same thing. Yeah, I did all of this in Photoshop. I did all this in Photoshop, and then in the darkroom, I did it with my hands and little tools.
And Brian, when he's doing this and talking at the same time, when he's processing these images for himself, it didn't take him that long.
Oh, by the way, Brian, just so you know, let's go over to this image over here. You see that one? Yeah, you see it?
Yeah, I do.
All right. The way it works these days, I just hit one small little tiny button and give it just a few seconds. Boop, and there it is.
How did you do that?
Copy and paste.
No.
No.
That was AI. Where did you get that?
That was not AI.
It said right on the screen an AI practice is running.
Yeah, because what I did was not AI. What I did is just hit previous, apply whatever I did to the last shot, apply it to this shot.
Oh, okay.
I just hit previous. That's it. Oh, I could have selected all of these and it would have done it, the base portion of it.
I do that to 95% of my images.
Yeah. So that's all I'm saying about masking. This is about masking and all of the things you can do in order to render things in areas to bring emphasis in emotional content or connections to your photographs.
Yes, and you're steering the eye to the subject that you want him to go to. On the original, it was kind of like, where do I look? I know I got to look at the bridge, but now there's no question where your eye's going here.
Yeah.
So you see,
you directed the viewer's eye right to what you want.
Robert, that's why you get paid the big bucks.
Thank you. But I just wanted to share that with you as far as all the things that the mask can do, subtracting from, intersecting, adding to, in order to realize your vision.
I use the subtract and add constantly. Actually, and sometimes, I like if you subtract the sky and you do it, even if you've got trees, if you do it subtract sky, you actually are going to eliminate that like glow around the trees, I found.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I appreciate your comments and taking the extra few minutes to listen.
Thank you,
Robert.
Very impressive.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, to comment on what Brian said, it would take me a week or two to do it too today. But a year from today, assuming I keep doing it, then no, not so much,
Yeah.
Right.
You just got to use them, use the tools. And once
That's
you get
it. Yeah.
once you start using the tools, then it takes no time at all, really.
Well, sometimes it's having a vision to see it, where you want to go with it.
Yeah. I keep going back to the first time I had Photoshop. I bought Photoshop Elements, and I had an image of Pier 60 on Clearwater Beach. I was trying to do the moon. And one of the things I noticed is at that time, they had these heavy gauge wire trash cans about every 20 or 30 yards along the shoreline. And they're very practical, they're very useful, but in the picture they look like crap, So I wanted to get rid of them. And I had never done anything like that. And this was like maybe the second or third time I had brought up Photoshop Elements on my computer. It probably took me several days to figure out how to erase those trash cans.
Now you can do it in 30 seconds.
Yeah, not if that, But that's what happens, you do this stuff enough and you get good at it and you discover shortcuts that work or shortcuts that don't work,
Well, and they keep giving us more and more tools that work better, make our lives easy.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, for Jim not showing because of work constraints, I think this tonight went well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy these.
Yeah. Jim who?
Jim who? All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Next time.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.